I'm not going to profess to be anything but a worshiper. I'm not going to profess to be anything but a guy who God saw, and even in my ugliest, he loved me better than anybody else. I can't pretend to be anything else but a man who God looked down and saw my needs and understood everything that I had to go through. Even when I didn't understand it myself, even when I ran away and chased other lovers and other things and other places and other people, God loved me still. He placed his hand on me still. Oh, I can't help but just thank him. I can't help but just love on him. This ain't got nothing to do with the pamphlet or the paper. I just got to take time to thank my daddy. I just got to take time to thank the Savior, the lover of my soul. Hallelujah, Lord God. Oh, if you could just take a time and just remember, when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, my soul can't do anything but praise him. My soul can't do anything but get joyful. Thank you, Lord God. Psalms 34 says, I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praises shall continually be in my mouth. At all times. Not just when I like to praise him. Not just when things are going peachy keen and I can laugh and I can sing and I can dance about it. But at all times. When money is wrong. When friends leave you. When families split apart, I will continually bless his name. If we can just get that in our spirit and in our understanding, that it does not matter. It's not about us. Our issues pale in comparison to his beauty, to his greatness, to the things that he does every single day. This minute, he just did a miracle. This second, he just broke through somebody's life and changed it. Do you understand what we just had? God stopped service so that we could get closer to him. Hallelujah, Lord God. As Pastor said, I'm here to deliver what God has told me to deliver. I'm just thankful that he didn't give up on me. I'm thankful that when I was wrong, and I was wrong. And sometimes we don't say these things. We as Christians, we worry about appropriate, and we worry about, is this the right thing to say? But sometimes people, kids, I understand. You need us as adults to say, I messed up sometimes. I did not get it right. I failed. But there's a man that loved me even in the midst of my failures. There's a man that saw the failures and said, I pray that your faith fail you not. He didn't say, I pray you don't make mistakes. He said, I pray your faith fails you not. Oh, when I think about that, we don't have to do anything to earn his grace. It's unmerited. That means that God gave it just because. He gave it because he got happy about giving it. He gave it for his own pleasure. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I live that. I live that even in my mistakes. He said, Greg, I understood that you were going to make them. I pray that you keep believing in the things that I taught you. So I'm not really like a sermon guy. I love stories. I'm an avid reader. I'm a book nerd. I'm not ashamed of it. I read comics. I like Superman. Get over it. You know, I've tried long enough to try to be something I'm not. Look, if you don't like me being nerdy and slightly slightly left the center. I'm sorry. I'm almost 26 and I just can't pretend anymore. So I'm just going to tell it like I feel like telling it. You know, like God has told me to tell it. So Luke chapter 22, 31 through 34. Jesus is talking to Peter.
Come on.
And he says, Peter, Simon Peter, Satan desires to have you. He desires to sift you like wheat. And I pray your faith fail you not. Now, I don't, once again, I'm probably sharing way too much about my own personal walk with God, but I had to question God and ask him, God, why didn't you pray that he just don't sift them? Why couldn't you just pray that the sifting don't happen? That can eliminate all of this. Or pray that he don't fail. You know, one of the two. You Jesus. You can definitely pray it. And why faith? Why I pray your faith fail you not? And it brought me to thinking about, and Adrian, who has become like a sister, we were talking about the fact that people our age and younger, faith is the thing that they're attacking more than anything else. You got more young people, young black people, who are agnostic, Buddhists, atheists. They're not just attacking you in the way that is the sexy ways to do it. You know, like he's attacking our lust, he's attacking our anger. No, he's going straight after your faith. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
Now the crazy thing is that Jesus said Satan desires to have you and sift you. The definition of sifting means to shake violently.
Teach, sir.
But the thing is about sifting, you sift things to get the dirt out. So even though the devil is trying us, he does not know that he's shaking the dirt out. You can't, if you go in a river and you're looking for gold, you got to shake the mud out first. And there might just be one nugget of gold. But that nugget of gold is worth the shaking. So when Jesus said Satan desires to sift you, what he was really saying is Satan don't even know what he's doing to you. He's making you better in his own ignorance. And the amazing thing is, you know, Peter does like all of us would do. And he says the same thing all Christians do when somebody comes with us. Oh Lord, I wouldn't do that. I would go to jail with you. I'm pretty sure if Peter could, he would have talked in tongues and had an organ going, oh, you know, all that stuff we like to do. Jesus saying, look what I'm trying to tell you. Before the rooster crows in the morning, you will have denied me 3 times. Look, I'm going to stand right here and say, I have denied Christ more than 3 times in my life.
Come on.
I have looked at the situation and gone, God is definitely not here. There's nothing about this that says Jesus. I don't get it. And I'm going to try to fix it on my own. Now, the next part is Jesus takes them to the mountain and he's suffering and he's praying and he's in travail. He's asking God, can you please take this? If you can take it away, please do. But if not, your will be done. And I didn't get why Jesus got so mad at them because they fell asleep. Because look, I love a good nap. I ain't gonna pretend. I love a good nap. But what Jesus was trying to say is, look, I have fear too. I'm a man. I bleed just like you. And if I could, I wouldn't do it. But God's will be done. I know you're going to mess up. I already told you. Just don't fall into the temptation of losing faith. Pray that you don't lose faith. That's all I'm asking.
Preach, boy.
So we keep going along in the story. And Jesus is on the cross and people are going to Peter and they're going, look at him. That's got to be one of them. And Peter's like, no, I ain't never seen him before. And another lady's like, no, that is definitely him. Ma'am, I I ain't seen this man before. I don't know him. Then the third time, that he is clearly a disciple. He was that one shouting when the fish and the bread. He was that loud one. I know it's him. That's a Galilean right there. You know, like we go, you know, that person from South Atlanta right there. I know that accent. I know where that accent comes from. That's a Galilean. Peter said, look, I don't know you. He looked Jesus dead and I never met the man. And God turned to him and looked at him. Now, any other man, any other person would have said, I told you he was going to do it. But this is just my own personal revelation. What Jesus said when he looked at him is, what you don't get is I'm dying for the very mistakes you just committed. I'm taking care of it right now. Just hold out for 3 days. If you just live for 3 days, it's difficult. It's nasty. Things are wrong. Kids, I get it. High school, middle school, elementary school, it's nasty. Kids say mean things all the time. People say ugly things to people. And you gotta be the one that's gotta be the responsible one. You gotta hold out all that time. You gotta be the one to keep up faith. And Jesus said, just hold out. Your third day might be 3 months from now. Your third day might be a year from now. But just hold out till that third day. Because the mistakes that you made don't matter right now. I'm taking care of them right now. I feel like, you know, if we understand that, we're not perfect. Ain't a single person in here perfect. And if you're doing right and you don't have faith, then you just a right person going to hell. There's no other way to say it. You can be the nicest person in the world, give money to charity, help puppies when people kick them, whatever you do to help to do the right thing. But if you don't have faith,
it's impossible.
It doesn't work. It's impossible to please God. Andre Crouch had a song that said, I need faith that can move mountains. Faith that believes in Jesus.
Say it.
And I mean that we're tripping about that. You know, you can have faith in your family, you can have faith in your pastor, but I need faith that believes in Jesus. I need faith that goes, I know that this situation that I'm going through right now is ugly. I've messed up. It wasn't anybody else but me. Peter, no one else calls Peter to say that. Peter did. You know, we like to talk about our trials when the world hits us. Or when someone else does something to us. But what about when it's just your own fault?
Come on.
What about when you done popped off and you done said something to somebody and you done blown it all out? Or what about when you the one that flipped on the computer and saw them nice little things that you wasn't supposed to see? Or you the one that sipped a little bit or smoked a little bit? Hey, what about when it's you? We don't like to talk about, hey, I'm the one that goofed that one. And the crazy thing is, that's what non-believers and people who have left the church, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear that, hey, sometimes you gonna goof up and you gonna goof up in a big way, and life is just gonna happen. And you just gotta trust that God is faithful to bring you out of it. And you look at these people who have lost faith, and this Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick," and heart sick is depression.
Yes, it is.
And we don't know how to deal with that in the church sometimes. Sometimes we just, we slap a scripture on it and move on, and we're ready to get an offering bucket and talk about the building fund or whatever. But God, why wouldn't, if you put that in there, it was meant for a reason. Why do you think Jesus said, I hope your faith fail you not? He knew that Peter was going to go through a depression. He knew that Peter was going to have to feel, going to have to hurt. He probably cried all those 3 days. This is just my estimation. We already know Judas killed himself. I don't know how close Peter was to that moment. We don't want to talk about things like that. We get afraid of suicide. We get afraid of people who are going through bouts of depression. But it's faith. It's hurt faith. They lost faith. They lost heart. Somebody somewhere took the hope that they had, the hope that makes you not ashamed.
Come on.
And it got diverted. It got diluted. It got moved somewhere.
Wow.
It happens to the best of it. It happens to everybody.
Come on.
I am a living person who has gone through depression.
Come on.
See, the thing is, just like Peter, it isolates you from everybody else. And you can't see what God is trying to say. You can't see that God has already taken care of that mistake. You don't understand that because your depression has isolated you from everything that was supposed to lift you up. Jesus didn't tell him he was going to make a mistake to make him feel bad. Jesus told him he was going to make a mistake because he was going to say, hey, look, but my grace is sufficient.
Come on.
My mercy is everlasting.
Yeah.
This happened, but we're going to move on from this. If he could, he'd say, look, we're going to be cooking fish in 4 days.
Come on. Come on.
We about to have dinner.
Come on.
Just hold out. Just hold out those 3 days. Somebody needed to hear that. Just hold out. Those 3 days. Your third day might be today. Your third day might be tomorrow, but just hold out. Those 3 days. Understand that your third day is coming. We forget that the book is a good book because it encourages us. It lifts us up. When things aren't going wrong, going right, I can say, shout to the Lord. I can say, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. I can say the joy of the Lord is my strength. Look, I might not know where the book of it is, but I know that that's a scripture and it's inside of me. Because I believe in the faith that God has taught me since I was a little boy, since sitting with Pastor Gumby, when my parents taught me, when all of my leaders taught me. I know that those things are true. So when the depression came, and it came hard, for 6 months, I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I stayed in my room and I cried every time I got back home. I hated myself. I didn't want to die, but I was close to saying, God, if you can separate me from everybody else and just leave me alone, I'll be happy. I don't need anything else. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to admit that when I made a mistake, I almost gave up. I almost lost hope. But if it wasn't, and this is my testimony, if it wasn't for that man right there coming in my room every day and instilling hope in me when I didn't believe it myself, if it wasn't for people, that's the real Christian walk. You ain't gotta know every scripture and every amplified version. You just gotta know, God, what do I need to say to this person? That man saved my life. My mother saved my life. My little sister, who just by coming in my room and making me laugh, saved my life. I did not want to be here because of my own mistakes. Because I had separated myself from the love of God because of my own doing. It wasn't anybody else. Kids, you will fall sometimes. There's just no plain way of saying it. You're going to mess up. But don't attack yourself because of the mistakes you made. They're just mistakes. We can't help that our nature, that we were born into sin.
Come on.
It's not our fault that when Adam and Eve ate of the fruit, that we were all born into sin. It's going to happen eventually to everybody. And when the fall comes, all God is saying is, you're going to be sifted. But I pray you lose not your faith. Because if you can hold on to the belief that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ask or think, you ain't got to be perfect. He's not looking for you to be right the minute you accept him. He's not looking for you to be miraculously right the next day. He understands that it's a walk. It's a journey. The greatest stories, the greatest heroes had to have ugly falls. If you ever seen the Batman movie, the Batman trilogy, Batman broke his back. He was a way. He had nowhere else to go. But it made the victory at the end that much more amazing because of the fall.
Come on.
Oh, that's good.
Sometimes we're looking at our fall and our mistake and going, dang, I messed up, and not looking at it as, I wonder how big this victory going to be at the end. I wonder just how amazing God is going to work through me at the end of this. I'm sorry if I had scriptures, but I got to talk from what I know. I got to talk from what I lived.
Come on.
I gotta say, you know what? There are people who are going to try your faith and make you not believe that God exists. We don't want to say that. We don't want to say that sometimes I doubted he was even real. That sometimes life got so ugly, I was like, there cannot be a God right now. But still, the things that you're taught as a child, parents, I get it. Look, my mom and dad, I was a good kid, but I had my moments. I can be defiant, and I'm passively defiant, so you won't even know I'm not agreeing with you. It can be difficult. I'm one of those kids that go, and then go do the exact thing you told me not to do. But I'm going to look like a clean angel.
Come on now.
You know, you look at... My mom wasn't supposed to be that excited. You look at people and you go, oh, he looks nice. He must be about God. When I can honestly say, I was just a dressed up sinner. I look nice. I wore the dress shirts and the jeans with the Converse before it was cool. People, you know, but that didn't mean my life wasn't wrecked.
Come on. Come on.
That didn't mean that I didn't doubt on a daily basis. And then when my algebra test came, I'm like, Jesus, give me an A or just a C. If you can give me a C, I will trust you from this moment on. And then the next minute, oh well. I got what I needed, and now, I'll see you when I get older, Jesus. Right now, like I joked with my friends in high school. I said, look, when I leave, I'm going to college because I got some sinning to do. I didn't get a chance because for me, as a church kid, and church kids can agree with this, a lot of times you don't feel like you got a chance to just be, normal.
Yes.
You always the one get called in class. The teacher catch you and you just said hi. You were like, dang, I didn't even say anything. So I was like, look, I'm going to college in another state. I might have a different accent. I don't know yet. But I am going to college to get into some things. Like the Donna Lauren song says, I started some things and did some things I didn't need to know. But the thing is, God is always going to pull you back. You can't get away from it. I'm just going to let you know now, kids, you hear, look, just get used to it. He's going to find you. Look, I wasn't the only one of my friends that was acting stupid, but I'm the only one that got pulled from Alabama back to Georgia on a weekend in the middle of the semester. And I thought my dad was going to murder me. I was like, I'm dead. I was like, I am dying today. Mistakes have been made, and the repentance for those mistakes is my death. That is what's going to happen. And you know what? God used my parents. You know what my dad did? Because I had lied to them for over a year. I lied to them over a year. And my dad came into my room. You got your stuff back? Yeah. I'm sitting here like, okay, here it comes. I'm about to get knocked out. And you know what this man did? He hugged me. And that was a greater example of God than almost any scripture, than almost any, goosebump sermon at the end of New Year's and everybody falling out and crying and then you going back and your life's still wrecked. That was the greatest example of love. My parents didn't go, I told you what to. They hugged me. And then we went and had chicken. And I don't even like chicken like that. But the fact that I wasn't dead. See, no, it's funny, but God meets us. And the food that he gives us is the word. After he has embraced us and hugged us and said, it didn't matter. I love you anyway. Now let's go home and let's have something to eat. Let me fill you back up what you lost when you were away.
Come on.
And the thing was, that was the beginning of my depression. It wasn't the finishing. That was the beginning of it. But the fact that my parents loved on me, the fact that at Thanksgiving my auntie didn't look at me sideways. My auntie gave me a hug and let me cry. Even though, she didn't do nothing wrong to me. If anything, she should have been crying. But she let me cry and just sit in the living room and just get a good cry out. And I hate crying. I only cry at Forrest Gump and The Lion King.
I'll wait till Gregory.
Forrest Gump is traumatic. It hits me every time. But those few months, while I was going through my depression, the reason why I was never at the point of killing myself is because I saw the love of a family. I saw the love of a church. My pastor company put me aside and we talked and we had peppermints.
Come on.
And after that, she never spoke of it again. Even though she could have. She let me volunteer and work here. My first year here, I've been working here for about almost 5 years now. But I volunteered my first year. She let me work here knowing the things that I did. Knowing the mistakes that I made. That's the true mark of our Christianity, when we can look at somebody's mistakes and say, come on, come back. Come on, come back. Look, I get it. We all did it.
Yes.
Now come on.
Yes.
Have something to eat and get back to work.
Come on, say it now. That's it.
I didn't want to get back to work. Doug screamed at me, told me I needed to be in the praise team. I don't like being in front of people. People don't. If you know me, I'm secretly like, I just want to be in my little bubble. Yeah. I done fought it long enough. I ain't trying to fight it anymore. I'm ending up with gray hair and bald spot in the middle. And that's ugly. I don't want that. But when after you have your moment, and he allows you to have your moment. Jesus allowed Peter to have his moment of depression. He let him cry. And then the amazing thing is, when you hold out, your faith is always rewarded. It never fails. You will be rewarded in the end. You might have failed every single day. As long as you say, God, dang it, I messed up. Forgive me. And then the next day you did a new one. You're like, dang it, I messed up. Forgive me. It doesn't matter how many times you fall. If you hold on to the faith that God is the lover of your soul and understands you better than anybody, and he will never give up on you. Then when your faith is rewarded, he'll say, like he told to the disciples, go ye therefore, teaching all nations, telling the goodness of Jesus. Tell them your testimony, Peter. And there's a Peter in every single seat. Tell them your testimony of the time when you made a mistake on your own. And God loved you anyway. And then redeemed you. And made you better than where you were. You know, I'm almost done. There's one scripture that it's Romans 5. And I like the Message version. I have the King James version, but sometimes I'm a very visual person, so when I can see what's going on in the Message Bible. And Romans 5 in the Message Bible says, by entering through faith into what God has always wanted to do for us, set us right with him, make us fit for him, we have it all together with God because of our Master Jesus. And that's not all. We throw open our doors to God and discover that at the same moment that He has already thrown the door open to us. We find ourselves standing where we always hoped we might stand, out in the wide open spaces of God's grace and glory, standing tall and shouting our praise. There's more to come. We continue to shout our praise even when we are hemmed with our troubles, because we know how troubles can develop passionate patience in us, and how that patience in turn forges tempered steel of virtue, keeping us alert for whatever God will do next. In alert expectancy such as this, we never left feeling shorthanded. Quite the contrary, we can't round up enough containers to hold everything God generously pours into our lives through the Holy Spirit. Christ arrives right on time to make this happen. He didn't and doesn't wait for us to get ready.
Come on.
He presented Himself this sacrificial death when we were too far, too weak and rebellious to do anything to get ourselves ready. And even if we hadn't been weak, we wouldn't have known what to do anyway. We can understand someone dying for a person worth dying for. We can understand how someone good and noble can inspire us to selflessly sacrifice. But God put His love on the line, for us by offering His Son in sacrificial death while we were no use to Him. Now that we are set right with God by means of His sacrificial death. Now, the minute you say, God, come into my life, you are set right. Don't let anybody to make you think you cannot do. Don't let anybody, kids, don't let anybody say you lame, you suck, you can't do this, you ain't worth nothing, you ain't about nothing. You are God's favorite thing. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. There is no greater drawing on His chalkboard than you. Don't let anybody else tell you different. Don't look, sorry to be blunt. Don't let no little lesbian tell you you need to be a lesbian. Don't let no little gay boy tell you you need to be a gay boy. Don't let nobody tell you you look like a man when you're a woman. God made you beautiful. God made you handsome. God made you amazing. And you walk with that. And it's not going to be easy sometimes. But know that He thinks you're the best thing ever. There's a reason why He said, out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, God has perfected praise. And in another word version, it says, God has made perfect strength out of the mouths of babes and sucklings. Don't let anybody take that away from you. I had the luxury of having Miss Robinson pull me up and say, Greg, you can do this. I had the luxury of saying, Miss Graham, I don't want to dance, and they got me dancing because they say you can do this. God will find people to put in your life to let you know you are more than worth it. You are the reason why we are here right now. You're going to be carrying us when we can't do it ourselves. So we need you to know, don't let anybody turn your feelings toward about how you feel about yourself and make it into a negative. You are amazing. You can do great, crazy, amazing things. I marvel at my little brothers and sisters.
Come on.
David is one of the most focused dudes. When he's got something he wants to do, ain't no stopping him. Tatiana is the sweetest little girl I've ever met. She will hug you 12 times in 2 minutes and not think anything of it. My little sister Lexi is the funniest girl. Funny, kind, loving. She has never not supported me.
Amen.
Even when she found out the fact that her big brother wasn't all he was cracked up to be.
Come on.
She never left me. The kids, that's just naturally in you. You didn't have life kick you yet. People didn't say things to you, so don't let people say things to you now. If I had listened to that when I was younger, I wouldn't have tried all the different, fads. That wasn't me. It wasn't that they were bad. It wasn't me. I tried to be something I'm not. I tried to dial down myself to be acceptable to other people. And a lot of kids, I know you guys have to do that a lot, because you're afraid, well, what if they don't like me? What if they judge me? What if they look at me funny? What if I get labeled lame? What if I ain't with the group that everybody like? What if I ain't with that crew? What happens then? I promise you, I was able to get to that level, and I hated it.
Come on.
And when I became just me, just Greg who liked Coldplay, and I don't really listen to a lot of hip hop. It's not that every hip hop artist is bad. I just don't get it.
Come on.
But I had to embrace who I am. And then when I embraced who I am, I got lifelong friends.
Come on.
I ain't got a bunch of them,
Come on.
but I got lifelong friends. People who I can call any day, and I know they got my back. When you let yourself go and you just be yourself, God is able to give you the people that are supposed to be around you. So to kids, just be yourself. Hold on to the faith that your parents are teaching you now. Because when you do eventually have a fall, you can get yourself back up. That's the end of my message. If anybody has gone through any situation like what happened, where you messed up and you felt like you weren't worth being saved. If you've gone through that, if you have struggled with that, or if you know somebody who struggled, if you want to come down, come down. If you want to just lift your hand and say, yeah, that's me. We all go through it. We all have those moments. But I'm here to tell you that there's a friend that will do more things to build you up than anybody else. And the mistakes that you made are just the beginning of a chapter that's going to be even better than the chapters before. That's why God says He's the author and finisher of our faith. Because our life is a book. And when you said, God, I take you as my Lord and Savior, you gave Him permission to write your book. So your ending is that you live happily ever after.
Come on.
Doesn't matter what happened in that moment, you will live happily ever after.
Yes.
So everybody, let's just say, Lord, forgive me.
Forgive me.
Lord God, I receive your love.
Lord God, I receive your
I embrace everything that you have given me and promised me.
everything that you've given me.
I no longer look back at the person I was,
I no longer look back at the person I
but
was,
I look forward to the person who I'm going to be.
but I look forward to the person I'm going to
Take over my life
take over my life
and reign and rule.
and reign and rule.
If you said this, you just got yourself right with God. That's all there is to it.
Come on, yes.